So we're in the middle of that due diligence. It's a lot of work that happens on a daily basis. We are in regular, almost daily communication with the state of Indiana working on this. We have an excellent deal, a win-win partnership together. And because of the significance of this decision from a stadium standpoint, we will make sure that we take our time to get this right. Because not only are we building a world-class stadium, but we're building a world-class mixed-use development, and we want to make sure that we get this right. We have had occasional meetings with the state of Illinois, and also we're just grateful that the NFL has been very helpful to us, especially Commissioner Goodell. But even though we've had occasional meetings with the state of Illinois, our sole focus at this point in time is working on a world-class stadium and mixed-use development in Hammond, Indiana. I'll pause there and take any questions.
Hey, what's up, and welcome into Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for downloading the podcast and checking us out on YouTube, youtube.com. Look for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. We're brought to you by, Alexander James Whiskey, the official whiskey for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Make sure you go to alexanderjameswhiskey.com. Check out the link in the bio, and that's where you could find the spirit of choice for yours truly, Jay Hood. You want to know what I'm drinking this spring and this summer into the fall? Alexander James Whiskey. Find out where you can get it in your area. It's in 49 states. It can be shipped to you if you need to. alexanderjameswhiskey.com. That is the spot. Well, you just heard from the president and CEO of the Chicago Bears, Kevin Warren. He spoke to the press, and also George McCaskey, the chairman, spoke to the press as well. And one of the big quotes coming out of that press conference was, "Our focus is in Hammond, Indiana. We don't have any legislation in Illinois." This is all regarding the new stadium that's supposed to be done years ago. And so all of a sudden there's a press conference, and George McCaskey and Kevin Warren had separate press conferences talking about what's happening with the Bears Stadium. For those of you that don't care, you don't care where the Bears are, that this podcast is not for you, even though we have more Bears information to give in a moment about what's on the field. But I just think that it is amazing to me that you have a press conference and there's no real announcement outside of Arlington Heights is in the back seat. We're not worried about Arlington Heights. We're focused on Indiana because they feel like they have the best deal in Hammond, Indiana. I'll tell you my thoughts on it for you watching me or listening to me for the first time on the podcast. It doesn't matter to me where the Bears are, whether it's in Arlington Heights or in Hammond, Indiana. I'm a South Side resident. I'm from South Shore. So Hammond, Indiana is no more than 20 minutes for me. And I spent a lot of time in that region, being able to pick up gas and groceries and have family in that area. So I'm not concerned where the stadium is going to be. Whether it's going to be in Northwest Indiana or if it's going to be in Arlington Heights, I'm still going to see the stadium. It's something new for the Chicago Bears. So, of course, I'm curious. I'd love to see what that looks like. I just keep hearing world-class stadium from Kevin Warren. Okay, I want to see what that looks like, especially in Northwest Indiana. I got no problem driving 20 minutes from the crib to be able to see what the Bears have. But Arlington Heights is land that the Chicago Bears own. And I think that it is really shameful on both sides. I know that in 2026, you got to find somebody to blame. It's got to be somebody. Well, it's got to be the politicians. It's got to be Chris Welch, and it's got to be J.B. Pritzker, the governor. It's got to be Brandon Johnson, the mayor. It's got to be all the people in Springfield. They're the reason. Or over here, it's got to be the Chicago Bears. It's got to be McCaskey's slow playing this thing, and it's got to be this neophyte in the position, Kevin Warren as president and CEO. He doesn't know anything about Chicago. It's got to be the Bears. It's everybody. When you cannot be able to decide after all of these years where the stadium's going to be, it's on everybody. The McCaskies have been in Chicagoland for a long time. You would think that even with today's politicians, they would be able to have a relationship with somebody. I don't care what side of the aisle's on, because it's stupid to even bring up Democrats and Republicans at this point. It comes down to people that are willing to do a job, people that are willing to be able to want infrastructure for wherever it's going to be in the Chicagoland area. It can't be in Chicago, which is unfortunate, right? It's too bad that the Bears can't build actually in the city of Chicago away from Soldier Field. It's too bad that the Bears can't find someone in this whole vast land of Lincoln, this whole state. They can't find anywhere to be able to build a stadium, but yet just across the border in Chicagoland, in Hammond, Indiana, and the governor, Mike Braun, and in McDermott, the mayor, they are so happy to just roll out the red carpet for the Chicago Bears. Now, of course, nothing comes free. It's not like they're just going to give them everything, but there's only two cards to play. One of the cards, you actually own the land, and you just can't get the tax infrastructure that you want, where you have the governor saying like, oh, I don't have the stomach to allow for the Chicago Bears to ask taxpayers for a publicly funded stadium. And on the other hand, here's Indiana saying, well, we've got the room. We will take out everything. We'll take out all the Dollar Generals and the Velasquez, the garages there that fix cars and homes if we have to, because that just means more money for the state of Indiana. So, of course, they would want to do that. And Indianapolis Colts apparently are not happy that the Bears could be moving to Indiana. They couldn't care less. The NFL says, hey, wherever you can put the stadium, because Goodell, the commissioner, was here in the Northwest Indiana area as well. And he looked at it and said, oh, this could be something in the Lost Marsh area. Wolf Lake, if my dad was alive to know that the Chicago Bears could actually be in a place where we spent a lot of weekends when I was a kid, fishing at Wolf Lake, hanging around the Wolf Lake area. Every weekend, it was family and friends, and we'd be at Wolf Lake. If he could only see that the Chicago Bears could be playing at the Wolf Lake site, he would be laughing right now, because he would know that that's not really the Chicago Bears. It's the Bears that's are the Chicago Bears, but playing in Indiana. And that seems so focused for George McCaskey and for the Chicago Bears. George McCaskey, there he was up there after Kevin Warren was done. And George McCaskey says, no, we will be the Chicago Bears, whether we'll be in Arlington Heights or whether it be in Hammond, Indiana. And he said, George McCaskey, he said that the legislation has been minimal following the team's board of directors vote to focus stadium efforts solely on Hammond, Indiana. So the discussion with Illinois has been minimal, he said. So there's just no movement from this state where I'm in here in Chicago. There is no movement to even have a place for the Chicago Bears to play in this whole area, this whole state. Not even Quincy wants the Chicago Bears, apparently, right? Not even Carbondale, not even Springfield, not like nowhere. It is amazing. George McCaskey also says Indiana has been very proactive, very communicative, and very solution-oriented. That's what George says about the conversations with the people in Indiana. I want to get your comments about this. I want to know how you feel about this, because for many, many years, the Chicago Bears have been in Soldier Field, and even before that, they were at Wrigley Field, and they were in Chicago. This is not the last time the Bears were trying to move. I believe it was 1969, 1970. The Chicago Bears attempted to go to Arlington Heights, and Papa Bear said, I want to move the team to Arlington Heights. And old man Mayor Daley said, if you move, you will not be called the Chicago Bears. You'll be the Arlington Heights Bears. So this is not a new thing. They were thinking about this years and years ago, before I was even born. And so here we are. My bottom line to all of this, when it comes to the Chicago Bears, is that it is shameful for a charter franchise like the Bears to be on bended knee to Indiana and say, hey, we can't get it done in Arlington Heights. Hey, we can't just come to Springfield and just be able to find a way to have a conversation to at least keep it within the city limits, or try to get it in Arlington Heights, or keep it in the state of Illinois. It's shameful that the Bears are not able to do this. It's shameful that the politicians on the other side are not willing to come to the table. I just think that there's always a way to communicate. And for George McCaskey and for Kevin Warren today to say that, oh, we haven't had a lot of conversation with the state of Illinois. The McCaskies are good with the move. As a matter of fact, I've heard as far as 6 months ago, George McCaskey said, well, we had to make the choice to go from Wrigley Field to Soldier Field. People survived. We went down to Champaign to be able to have the new, a Soldier Field when they put the spaceship on top of it. No, it was fine. So he's pretty much saying that, if they move to Indiana, he's fine with it as long as they get a stadium put up there. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I will still stand 10 toes down in belief that the Chicago Bears are going to move out of Soldier Field, and there's going to be an AFC team representing Chicago. And it's not going to be the Chicago Bears. It'll just be another team. But there's no way the NFL will allow Chicago to just stand there with no team from the NFL, and yet the Bears will move to Hammond, Indiana. It's just no way. It doesn't have the same ring of the Jets and the Giants moving to New Jersey or playing in New Jersey or the 49ers playing in Santa Clara. It's not the same. Now, listen, again, I'm not butthurt about it. Wherever the Bears move, if they move out of Soldier Field, it's going to be better. Where they're going to be is a place that they can actually own the stadium. The other thing is that it's going to be a brand new facility, and I think it's going to be great for the Bears. But it's just stupid that it's taking so much time. That's the thing. It's just ridiculous that Kevin Warren stands there and he talks about Indiana and talks about all the things that they want to do in Indiana, and that Illinois is not even in the picture. That's crazy to me. But here we are. We'll see if there's more information about this. But I was wondering why that there was a press conference today on August 13th. And we come to find out the reason why that press conference took place is because they just wanted to send a shot to the state of Illinois saying, hey, you haven't picked up the phone. We haven't picked up the phone. There's nothing going on here in the state of Illinois. So we're going to let people know that Indiana has rolled out the red carpet. They're going to say that, hey, Illinois, the state of Indiana is ready to go to work, and Illinois is not. And so they just want to have that out there. Usually when you heard from the Chicago Bears, it's kind of like, well, we're still working. Warren also did not give a timeline to all of this as well, as he was able to take some questions from the media after he was done with his thoughts about the Bears in the stadium.
Minimal, so I wouldn't have any characterization as far as how we would characterize those.
What is your sense for why the Arlington Heights project hit a dead end in Springfield?
Well, I mean, I don't know why it hit a dead end in Springfield, but we've been very clear for the last couple of years, the things that we've always needed is property tax certainty. We need infrastructure certainty. That's what we've needed. So that has not changed. There's some other things associated with it. So I don't know why Springfield, as far as what you said, is why it hit a snag. But one of the good things about what we've had is since we did have the board decision, we have really focused on Indiana. That's where our time and energy and effort has been spent. And we've had extremely productive meetings there and feel really good what's going on with the state of Indiana, specifically in Hammond, Indiana.
They've had great conversation with the state of Indiana. It makes it seem like it's almost a fait accompli that if Illinois is not going to have some kind of special session here in the summer to try to get things done, to try to bring everyone to the table, that Indiana is going to be the play. I think it's all politics. Who knows? It's all a game of chicken. Unfortunately, we are the chickens as fans just watching this tennis match back and forth between the Bears in Illinois, the Bears in Indiana, the Bears in Illinois. Just get something done, please. It's insulting to the fans. It's insulting to this city that the Bears more than likely at this time may not have a NFL team in the city limits. It's not a done deal. Kevin Warren and George McCaskey did not make it a done deal, but they spoke more about Indiana in these press conferences than they have before. So we'll keep our eyes on it as we talk about the Chicago Bears here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Can we talk about the actual Chicago Bears, what's happening on the field? I'd like to talk to you about that. So I saw the quote from the head coach for the Chicago Bears, Ben Johnson, and I thought that Dan Pompei, as usual, Hall of Fame writer and a broadcaster as well, Dan Pompei did a really great job of being able to tell us what it's like to be Ben Johnson, the head coach for the Chicago Bears. You know how terrific the season was last year. Boy, it was just a complete cleanse from the time that Matt Eberflus and his coaching staff was here. Ben Johnson comes in here, rules with an iron fist. He wants the offense to be right. In his first year, he turned the Chicago Bears offense around. The Bears were this close to getting to the NFC Championship game and maybe getting to the Super Bowl, but it wasn't their time. But there was some thrilling games, though, wasn't it? The Rams game was thrilling, even though it was a loss. The Packers, the regular season had so many great moments to it. But the Chicago Bears would tell you that's in the past. Like, yeah, we're not worried about what happened last year. Etch-a-sketch. Get the whole thing and just etch-a-sketch it, right? And all they're concerned about is this year. But there was a big quote from Ben Johnson that got everybody shook, not just in Chicago, but across the NFL, because it was everywhere this morning. I'll just read what it says from Dan Pompei's piece, and I want you to go to theathletic.com. Dan Pompei wrote a terrific article. It says, you've got 31 other teams coming to training camp saying our goal is to win the Super Bowl. I want more than that. I want to have the highest scoring offense ever, which happens to be the 2013 Denver Broncos. I know how many points per game they scored, 37.9, and I want to surpass them. I want shutouts. I want blowouts. He asked which team had the most consecutive victories. It's the New England Patriots, who won 21 straight between 2003 and 2004. Why can't we do that? Ben Johnson says. There's never been an undefeated season since teams have been playing more than 14 regular season games. The moon is a Super Bowl, and we're shooting beyond that for the stars. And I want these players to feel that every single day that they come in. Let's go back. He wants to have the highest scoring offense ever, 37.9 points a game. My thought as I was reading this at the time, from obviously going through the article, I said, oh, you want the highest scoring offense, huh? Well, what about the Super Bowl? Don't you want to win championships? And that's why I read the next paragraph yesterday. And I said, okay, he wants not only to have the best offense that we've ever seen, but also wants to win championships. Good, because that should be the goal. For those that feel like this guy is a maniac, or you feel like he's an egomaniac, or feel like that he's an asshole for being able to say these things, can I just tell you, I'm glad he said it. That doesn't necessarily make the Bears a target. It makes the players targets in the eyes of Ben Johnson, the coaching staff. You see, the Chicago Bears coaching staff is looking for excellence from these players. That kind of motivation came from Dan Campbell from the Detroit Lions when Ben Johnson was with Detroit. A lot of things that Ben Johnson picked up from Campbell, from the Lions. The way that they practice, where it's physical, and there's going to be some injuries, there's going to be some broken bones, but you got to be able to feel the game. For those that's in the YouTube chat, a lot of you were telling me like, Hoodie, I'm not so sure. I mean, these guys are getting hurt. I think that the practices are too tough. It's football. It's supposed to be tough. It's football. What do you think is going to be like in the preseason or the regular season when you take on a different color jersey? It's supposed to be tough. That's why that they are tackling out there, and it's been physical practices. Have there been some players hurt? Absolutely. The point is, though, is that you got to get ready for the regular season. You got to feel the game. Don't listen to me. Players have said this all the time. But let's get back to Ben Johnson. So Ben Johnson wants to be able to eclipse the 37.9 points a game. All good. Great. I like that he said that because at least he has a mission statement of exactly what he wants from his football team. I want you to go through a lot of articles, and I want you to go through some of the sound bites from coaches around the NFL. They're afraid to say stuff that Ben Johnson says. because they're just happy to have a job as a head coach in the National Football League. Well, we're just going to go roll it out there. We're going to see what happens. We feel pretty good about our football team, and we like our quarterback, and we like our guys, and we're going to see what happens. He doesn't do that. Ben Johnson says, I want to win the Super Bowl. I've been doing this a long time, and there's been a lot of general managers and players and head coaches. They're afraid to say the thing, And the thing is like, we want to win championships. Tom Ricketts just said it in this past offseason in spring training. He goes, we got to win more championships around here. That's what he said. I'm glad he said it, because he realizes that the 16 championship for the Chicago Cubs isn't good enough. It's 2026. It's 10 years ago. So I'm glad that Ben Johnson said what he said, because you must stand for something when you are a franchise. You're trying to have the most prolific offense ever. Do you want to have the most prolific defense ever? I like to have the best offense ever and also the best defense ever at the same time. I'd like to have that if that's possible, because that would increase your chances to win a championship. But you know what I'm saying, right? He wants to have the best offense and he wants to win a championship. Go for it. It doesn't mean he's going to do it, but you go for it. And I know that there's coaches and there's players, mostly coaches though, that don't like Ben Johnson because of the bravado, because he pounds his chest, because he wears his heart on his sleeve. And if you read that piece from theathletic.com from Dan Pompei, one thing that you'll see is a guy who is he is rabid. He is manic about winning, and he wants his team to be right. Caleb Williams, the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, is a better quarterback today because Ben Johnson sits down with Caleb Williams and says, let's take a look at all your incompletions. Let's take a look at all of your faults. Let's take a look at all your weaknesses and see if we can accentuate the positive and hide the negatives of everything you do as a quarterback for this team. I'm telling you, outside the facility and inside the facility, Caleb Williams is a completely different person. That first year with Caleb loved Chicago, loved kicking it, loved the smell of Chicago, loved the taste of Chicago, because he was under Matt Eberflus. He wasn't coached properly. It was a tough season, but him being a rookie, he enjoyed being a rookie. I'm here to tell you, just between you and I, he loved being a rookie. So now, under Ben Johnson, it's about work, and it's about work ethic. It's about trying to be best and better and good and all the stuff that he talks about, right? And I like it. Can I tell you, if he was the Seattle Seahawks coach, if he was the Kansas City Chiefs coach, if he was the Jacksonville Jaguars coach, if he was the Dallas Cowboys coach, I'd understand why someone would say, I want to have the best offense ever and I want to win championships. Because at least you could say, well, you know what they're shooting for? They're trying to be the very best, not just win. They just want to be the very best. I haven't heard a coach say that before. You think John Fox said that when he was the coach for the Chicago Bears? John Fox? Mark Trestman, Matt Eberflus, Lovie Smith. It didn't happen. But this guy puts the battery on his shoulder and goes, knock it off. He puts the chip on his shoulder and goes, do something about it. Well, talk is cheap. So it comes down to results. So for me, I appreciate the bravado, but now it's about results. Never confuse activity with accomplishment. The activity is to be interviewed by Dan Pompei as he drives into work and he's got his Blackhawks hat on backwards and he walks in the facility, he's working out and he's talking to Dave Wanstead who's in the facility and going over the game plan and ripping the players in film, all that stuff. All that's great. All that's great. But now it's about to be time for the season, and you got to be able to replicate or exceed what you did last year. I like it. I like that he lets his team know that these are the things that we have to do to be able to win. We want to be able to win championships. We want to have the best offense. Now, no, you can have the best offense, but you got to have a good defense too. And so when I look at this roster, and I haven't made any predictions on the Bears yet, but if you've been listening to me on Cap and J Hood, weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on ESPN 1000 and on the ESPN Chicago app, 100.3 FM HD2, on YouTube, all the places where you can find Cap and J Hood, you know that I've been hard on this defense, and rightfully so. This cannot just be about the offense. It can't just be about DeAndre Swift and Roma Dunze and Luther Burden and all the weapons that the Chicago Bears have. It's got to be about everything with this football team: offense, defense, special teams. So we will see how this thing develops. I don't expect an electric slide going backwards for the Chicago Bears this season, but I know that Ben Johnson had his share of mistakes too. Remember that Rams game? Probably should have ran the football more. But that's water under the bridge. Ben Johnson doesn't know everything. He doesn't. I want to make sure that that's very clear here on this podcast. Like, I can support the Chicago Bears and also take a keen look at Ben Johnson as the head coach, and because he doesn't know everything. He made his share of mistakes too as a head coach. Some of the calls that he made that did not help the offense. So what I like is that, similar to the White Sox, it's funny how that works with what the White Sox are doing with Will Venable and the young team, and how they all make mistakes together. They all also flourish together. Same thing with the Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's learning, even though, again, you love the words, but now he's got to produce too. He's got to be better as a head coach. Timeouts, how to make sure that Caleb in the offense is in the right position. What is his opinion on defense? Does he have an opinion on defense? Because that matters too. So then it's about how he and Caleb Williams and the offense and the team can be able to develop. So that's really big. They're all developing together, the Chicago Bears, the head coach, the coaching staff, and the players. It's brought to you by Alexander James Whiskey, the official whiskey for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Oh, one last thing. The Bears are going to take on the Browns. That'll be the first preseason game. Looking forward to seeing football out there. Caleb Williams more than likely will not play in the preseason. And I know that this has been a strong opinion around the Chicago Bears over the years about how the starters should play to get them ready for the season. I said this about Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields and quarterbacks even before them. I said, players want to be able to feel the game. They want to be out there. I would not have any problem with Caleb Williams having a series out there for the Bears. But maybe Caleb Williams does not play in the preseason. And if that's the case, I'm okay with it for the first time in a long time. Because it's not about what I need to see. It's about how Caleb Williams is able to develop in practice. Those scrimmages are very important as well, because they're going to be on the road for a couple of weeks, I think. Yeah, I think because the last two preseason games are on the road. So they're going to be having some scrimmages with other teams. So that's going to be very important to see as well. And so for the first time in a while, I'm like, Caleb doesn't play. It's fine. Is he going to be completely rusty in game one? It may not be 37 points a game, but I believe that he'll be able to take another step as a quarterback if he's blessed with good health. He's got all the weapons. He's got plenty of weapons. So now it's up to Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams to cook up something to make sure that everyone eats, and that way the ball is matriculating down the field. But just for the record, even though I kind of always feel like starters should play like a series just to get the feel of being in an NFL stadium, if Caleb doesn't play, for once, I'm good with it. It's not because I'm taking Ben Johnson's word for it. It's just because Caleb just has to be ready. The offense just has to be ready for week one. They just have to be. They've been practicing their asses off, and it's not about my pleasure watching the Bears in preseason. It's about whether or not they're ready in the regular season. So that's how I feel about it. And please leave your thoughts below about that as well. So there you have it, folks. The Chicago Bears. It's weird. They're getting much better on the field, as you know. Draft picks, free agency, NFC North champions, looking to try to repeat as NFC North champions, trying to take another step. And then in the front office, it seems like it's the same old red tape, like it was with Ted Phillips and what it was in the past. This has to change. This has to get better. One day, the Chicago Bears are going to be not only solid on the field, getting closer and closer to the Super Bowl, hopefully, but also in the front office, they'll find a a stadium that they'll be in for 40, 50 years that they'll be happy with. And also, we won't have the embarrassment of waiting years and years and years for infrastructure or something simple like, hey, let's build a stadium for the fans to go see the Bears for the future. We're brought to you by Alexander James Whiskey, the whiskey of choice for yours truly, Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. We got so much content on here. If you're a college football fan, we have got bracketology. We reviewed the Big Ten this week. There's SEC coverage as well. We'll talk about Notre Dame next week with Darius Brockett. We have got so much on pro wrestling. We've got a lot on what's happening with the National Football League, the NBA, because the NBA schedule just came out. We just had a podcast about that, about the Bulls and the NBA. And we got a lot. And we got a brand new show that's going to debut at the end of the month. There's a lot going on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. Oh, God. So long, everybody.